country.
Bravo 6, going dark.
Defeating the radical left, the Marxists, the agitators, the anarchists, with you at my side. As my first order of business, I hereby declare martial law.
You have to take out their families. When you get these terrorists, you have to take out their families.
Putin's a killer. A lot of killers. There are a lot of killers. Well, you think our country's so innocent?
Death penalty. Bring it forth.
Wow, such a happy ending for all. Anyway, for real, this video is not supposed to be a definitive guide how to keep yourself safe. In fact, I would not take full advice from me on this aspect because I'm not experienced enough to tell you what to actually do because I haven't even done them myself, to be frank. But this is just a few things that I did that I think are like okay-ish. They will help you somewhat, but most of it just comes down to you basically securing your online activity and not just fucking using Google and other fucking services, or at least using other services that are not so data hungry and they're not out for your data that hard as Google, or then just getting paid services that offer better privacy than any free service basically. So basically, this is just a few things that I did to my phone and my workstation and server. Well, some of the things I haven't even done yet to my server, but I will be doing in the near future, depending how quick the EU chat control live goes through. If it does, then I will be doing this immediately when that decision is done. But for now, I will be just probably using these and then just adopting the new changes over time. Let's start with the phone. I didn't do too much to the phone. Well, actually, the phone is the thing that I did probably the most about, but it doesn't have a separate operating system from the OG Android ones provided by Samsung, which kind of sucks because on this phone you cannot even get any other operating systems. Well, you can, but they are like not officially supported and they can kind of just brick your shit because apparently the Hynix chip on the Samsung A13 just sucks to port shit into. So I'm in this situation where I can't really have a new ROM and I have to use this phone, and that's kind of it. So for my phone, I basically used ABD debugger to just get all the system packages out of the phone that I didn't need. You have to be pretty careful with the program though to be sure that you're not deleting something that's necessary for the system to run. Then you will just like brick your shit if you remove something necessary. But the program, I'll link it in the description down below. It shows you pretty clearly what is just like in general safe, and it gives you a pretty decent overview of the packages that you're about to remove and what they do. Most packages are labeled and they have some kind of small information about them, at least for my phone. Also, another thing that I did for the phone, on top of removing all the Google packages and Samsung packages, so there's another thing. I was unable to denox the phone because I would have had to root it. Well, I was just too fucking lazy to root my phone. I will have to do it if it comes to it, like the law goes through, then I will do it. I will do it. But for now, I have just been too lazy to do it. But for the second part, how do you separate the GOI from the Oy vey? Basically, I just opted to use Island. It's a work environment, just an app that creates a work profile for your phone that you can just like put stuff into. You can manage it from the private side. The application basically lets you just load apps that are already in your private profile directly into the work profile, and it doesn't necessarily even need to have any Play stores or anything, but then you won't get updates if you don't have, for example, an Aurora store or even F-Droid. I use F-Droid for some of my apps and then Aurora store for some. There is a few banking apps that are like local to the country that I live in, which I was unable to get from Aurora store, most likely just because it's geo limited, or then there is some kind of a check for the accounts, or it just doesn't exist in Aurora store for for some reason or another, most apps that you would ever want are in Aurora Store. And it's a really good store. You can basically request an anonymous session, and you can even spoof your device ID. Some apps might not just straight up load if you spoof your ID, so that's kind of the drawback. But then you can always just switch back to your normal device ID and just download the app, which just fixes it. Going back to the Island app, I downloaded it from the F-Droid store. You can't get it on Google Play because they wouldn't allow it. Some apps you can just get straight from the Play Store, like VMOS, and I think there was a couple other ones. Dual apps. I think it was called Dual apps that you can use, but neither of them worked for me. Both of them had really bad problems. The VMOS didn't even start, so I just had to use Island. And basically, just on the work profile, I have all of my GUI. I have all my just apps and the GUI apps that I use with my family and my just very basic stuff that I just use every day to communicate with my family. And they're just in there in their own little environment. So that basically, then I have on my private side, I have Oive. I have my Oive on the private side, which is just basically as like Element, my browsers, whatever. I try to like refrain from using any browsers or other data on the work profile just so that the least amount of whatever the GUI gets out of my phone, whatever the data gets out of my phone. I try to keep it pretty minimal, and I only send like family stuff in there. But then on the personal side, I talk to my friends. I have Element, which is another app I'm gonna talk about. It's a really good app considering privacy. Although I would suggest hosting your own servers, since if the EU law goes through, even Element is probably obligated to give user data. Well, not user data, but most likely the Element is required to provide information on its users. Basically, if you use element.org, normal domain, from that I wouldn't say it's too safe because they will probably have that requirement also. You should find a private server that you can join or a private org or then host your own, which is like just the most secure one. Either buy one off the internet or then two, host it on your home computer. But if you're gonna do that, just make sure your firewalls and everything is just like checked and everything is okay, because otherwise you might be in some pretty bad shit. On to the workstation. I gave up Windows. I know. The least thing you could ever do. I gave up Windows. The only reason, necessarily what kept me in Windows, was the fact that I was playing League of Legends and Apex Legends. All the legends in one operating system. All the legends in one operating system. I know they're trash, but I played them anyways. After the EU law came through, I just decided for myself that nah, I mean these games are not worth just like these games are not worth keeping Windows for. Plus, also in the future, I would like to reserve my privacy, and I just I just like Linux more. To be fair, I've always liked Linux more. I've used it on my laptops, but on my main computer, I wasn't able to just because of those games, but I just gave them up. And I'm just waiting until they will some fucking day they will do Linux support. I god fucking hope that at some point there will be Linux support, because this shit sucks. Fuck the anti-cheat. Fuck the GOI. No, I mean fuck the OIV. Motherfucker. God motherfucking damn. So basically, yeah. I switched to Linux. I use Fedora. I'm thinking of maybe switching to Nix or then just using Arch, because I've gotten a bit more comfortable with just only using Linux and using the kernel. To be fair, I did use it like somewhat, but on the laptops I didn't do that much. Most of the things that I ever did on the laptops, I just had a Linux Mint on the laptop, and I just did sudo apt update, and that was pretty much it. But now that I've had my Linux for around 4 months, it's actually really nice. I mean, there is some problems, of course, with an open source system that you can just like do anything in. There will be some problems, but for the most part, they've been actually really minor, which is very surprising because I thought that I would have a lot more problems, especially considering the fucking hardware that I'm running. But positive surprises, it was actually pretty okay. And I didn't have to bash my head into a wall too much. And for the next thing, if you're using an Intel system and you want to go just full schizo out, I do recommend Libre booting your shit. Just getting a fucking fish clamp programmer and programming your whole chip. That's all fine and dandy. I unfortunately can't do it. I kind of wanted to because that's just sick as fuck to do it. First of all, and then two, you won't have the backdoor for the GUI. But I can't because I have AMD PSPs built right in the CPU, so you can't really disable it. With Intel, if you guys still use that shit, that's good for you. I'm low-key thinking of switching to Intel just because I can disable Intel Mossad engine on that, but I'll have to see. I'm poor as fuck. I don't know how I would ever switch to that. And also basically for basically the browsers, nowadays I almost only use Tor as my main browser, and then I have a VPN. Well, VPN plus Tor won't do much, but I have a few other apps that I don't really trust, like Discord and other stuff. So I'm just keeping it family friendly and using Tor. I have a password manager that I store all my passwords into, so it's just getting logged out of sites when I'm off when I'm off the computer or just like restarting the browser. I don't really care anymore. I used to care more, but I stopped being a fucking bitch. I stopped being a bitch, and I just log back in whenever I just restart the computer, and that's fine. As for a VPN, I'm just using right now the Proton VPN, the free version. I know I should just buy Mulvad or then upgrade to the bigger whatever McDoodle. Upgrade to the bigger package with the better VPN connections and whatever. Honestly, I don't fucking care right now. I am gonna get Mulvad at some point. I had Mulvad for years. Then I stopped paying just to save some money. But nowadays I feel like it's a lot more important to have that, especially considering what like payment processors, governments, and it fucking feels like every institution in this world is trying to just harvest your data and organs and just make you into the goy slave that you are. Anyway, for the keepass thing, as I said, I'm using Gigolo on my main computer. Trust me, if you have a home server, goddamn, and you have Linux systems, Gigolo is actually probably one of the easiest and best fucking apps to have because it auto mounts your drives on boot. And you don't even have to fucking modify FSTab or anything. It just automatically does it, and you can add connections with just a couple of clicks. I really like that shit. Um, Anyway, yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the main computer. Okay, moving on to the server, the star of today's fucking show. My home server is currently running Windows Server 2022.
Comments are good. Like, I don't know.
You a clown ass nigga. You don't wanna see my goon, clown ass nigga.
I should switch to a Linux-based distro on the server. I know, it's Windows Server, it's GUI, I know. Calm the fuck down. The only reason why I'm using the Windows Server is just because I have everything set up there. I have my Active Directories, all of my accounts for me and my partner, and I have all the just fucking whatever those are. I have all my network drives and the permissions set up there. So I would have to redo all of that if I would switch to just an operating system. So I will do that at some point, but for now, no. Well, maybe soon, maybe quite soon, because I kind of want to just get the fucking rid of Windows. So yeah, basically, in my home, I don't have a routable, like just a port forwardable network connection because my network setup is just so fucked. I have a phone sharing internet through an Ethernet adapter to my router. My router is so shit that it cannot get more than 10 megabits a second download and is fucking unstable. So having the phone there with the adapter, I get 600 megs, which is just crazy. Why the fuck would anyone like? This was new, by the way. I had the same problem with my old one that was from 2015, and I bought that TP-Link one new for like €100. And god fucking damn it, it has the exact same problems and it cannot connect to the internet for its life. So that results in me having double NAT and I can't do any kind of port forwarding. Trust me, I tried to do dynamic DNS servers. I tried doing auto updating dynamic DNS and it just doesn't work. It just it just doesn't work because there is two network interfaces before even my computers and I can't even modify the phone's network interface. So it's just fucked. So that's basically it. Instead of port forwarding my shit and then connecting to it or making a local VPN, that I was planning to do a local VPN before I had this way of doing it that I have now. I route all my peer-to-peer traffic through Zero Tier. Zero Tier is a pretty good service that you can get for free. You can get paid versions of it, but I mean, they say that they don't throttle your traffic, which I probably believe, and they don't even route their your traffic through their servers if they don't have to. It's a peer-to-peer connection that works kind of like a VPN, but you can at max have like 10 people on it without a paid subscription. It works pretty great. To be fair, for a remote desktop, it works pretty great. I can have all of my just connections to my home server. I can view my files on my server. I can just do most of the stuff that I need. The only bad thing about it is that it can get pretty fucking slow if you're moving files. But for me, I don't really care for that right now. And they do route your traffic if it's not possible to do just direct peer-to-peer. So in fact, yes, my connection is going through their servers and God knows where they are. But apparently that it's a pretty reputable company. I read about them online quite a lot before I used it. And a lot of people are using it in just this type of situations or very small scale company applications, which is pretty cool. I really like it. I recommend you check it out if you haven't, or if you need some kind of just a remote desktop for your home setup. It's pretty cool. I have it on my work laptop and I can just remote to my home server from work, which is pretty cool. But the file transfer time is pretty shit. So I would consider that. For you it might be very different. For your internet might be a lot faster and you are able to create just like a peer-to-peer connection, which in that case, that's fine. You don't need to worry about anything. If that works, then it's fast. My server also works just like a data hoarding site with QWeeks. I downloaded all of Wikipedia and other fucking stupid articles. I have a torrenting. I just torrent all of the series that I care for. I bought 3 terabytes of just hard disk space and a hot swap dock because my server is just a ThinkCenter that I got from work for like $10, which is actually a pretty good price considering that it has like 16 gigs of RAM and what is that, an i5 6500T, which isn't too bad at all for like $10. But yeah, I just hoard a lot of shit on the computer, download all my series, and then I can just connect it from my computer and I can just stream that to Chromecast or something if I want. I should get rid of Chromecast. I don't know if it's possible to flash shit on that device. If you're able to have a custom ROM on a Chromecast, that would be pretty awesome. I really like that. But I haven't looked into it. I haven't used the Chromecast in a while. But yeah, that's basically what I use it for. It's just a media storage site and I can just hoard shit and it gives me access to my home. I had a security camera set up going through that server for when I was away from home for a month. It was pretty cool. I was able to just control my cameras and just record video for like 7 days straight and then just view it when I was away. But if you're playing video and you're remotely in another country and you can't do direct peer-to-peer, it is pretty slow. It was pretty tough trying to look those videos even from the remote desktop. It was pretty tough. But for the most part, it worked pretty well. You could skim through the video and just see if there was anybody inside the house. On a few occasions, there was nobody unknown, but just in general, I was able to see that, which was the main part. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the home server.
I thought about this nigga I seen in the streets. The shit just ain't adding up. Fake ass gangsters, man. This shit is not cool.